big red flags too. Because when you're under interrogation and they aren't supposed to be feeding you the evidence.
Yeah, they're not supposed to tell you anything. They're supposed to get it from you. In like, I really want to know if he did it. Holy fuck, he committed. If he did it, I would look into more missing people in that area, because he probably did them too. Like, if that's the case, and he really killed these girls the way he did, so savagely and so clean, and left barely anything behind, that wasn't his first time killing someone. If you go back, and you can go back and even listen to the Gacy tapes, which is hosted by the guy who runs Defense Diaries, they're all of his father's tapes from his time as fucking John Wayne Gacy's public defender. Like, and at that time, a lot of people would be like, well, why the fuck would anyone take a case to defend? The only thing that the defense can do after you admit to fucking committing murder, and it's solid, and they have evidence, and they find all the bodies, the most your defense can do is try and stop you from being put on fucking death row. That's it.
Unfortunately, most states in them were abolished.
Don't have that. But that was what his dad was doing. He was just trying to stop Gacy from being fucking killed. That was it. That was all they could do. They knew they were fucked. They knew he admitted to everything. So, but if you listen to any killer who talks about their first murder, they almost always are like, oh, it was messy. It wasn't good. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared. I was panicking. This crime scene description does not match someone who was doing their first murder.
No.
So you'd have to have a well premeditated.
Your experience.
To like as a first timer, you would have to be like.
But even still,
was
it was BTK. He was like, my first kill, I had thought about it. I stalked them and I did everything, and he's like, it was messy, it was bad, and he planned everything out, and he was a big motherfucker. He was outpowering people. He was outpowering whole families with his hands.
Yeah.
He never took a gun.
And nobody would have ever thought of him because he was a friendly guy. He was.
And the only reason he got caught is because of the stupid letter shit he was doing to the police. If he would have just fucking stopped that...
he wanted to get caught.
I know he did. He wanted to stop himself, but he couldn't stop himself. He couldn't bring himself to turn himself in.
It was an addiction. And you know, I've heard that time and time of a lot of serial killers were questioning.
It's an addiction. It's
an adrenaline rush.
Who was it? It wasn't Dahmer. It may have been Bundy.
Yeah.
Who said it was like no other drug he's ever taken before when doing it. Like, it was this supreme high. But even, like, fucking, oh god, brain fart. I was fucking talking to you about him. He was actually one of the most recent big, like, North America killers. Fucking shit. Like,
I can't think of his name either.
He went around all the states. He had weapon caches buried in every fucking state. And they couldn't even they could only tie him to one.
Yeah, they don't know. I know who you're talking. I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking
Israel
about.
Keys.
That's it.
And honestly, like,
they don't actually know how many
people he killed. They are still finding his weapon caches. They are still investigating that. And right now, I think the supposed count is they think he killed like 70 or 80 fucking people. And all they arrested him for was one. Could you imagine if they would have just fucking lied to him and been like, oh yeah, we'll give you a quick death sentence if you tell us everything? How many unsolved fucking missing people they could have found? But because they refused to just say those words. And even fucking critical analysis that, like, go through and break down, like, they're specific, it's a specific job, it's a specific field where they go through and they break down interrogation and they analyze them and what goes on. Even one of the ladies that did that was like, if they would have just lied to him. And she's like, and for those who don't think this, they're like, when you're being interrogated, they're gonna fucking lie to you. That's what they do. That's
a lot of people, for some reason, have this belief that
they're being truthful.
Yeah. If you're being interrogated, the police have to be honest with you. No, they don't. They're trying
to get you to admit to it.
Yeah, they're trying to do whatever they can to fucking get you to admit to it, if they really think it was you, they're gonna lie to you. They could have lied to Israel Keys and found everything out. But they fucked that up. And I really think if R.A. did this, honest to God, if he did this, with how fucking gruesome but clean this whole scenario was, he killed more than just those 2 girls. Because even Israel Keys said his first murder was a fucking mess. And he panicked and he burned their bodies in a house.
When you think about it, is there any cases around that area that have like a similar crime scene?
Not that they've brought up. It's just, it baffles, fucking.
It's
so for
it's
me.
like a left field.
For me, I really like diving into this shit because I like to try and figure out and see what makes the brain tick. What causes it to happen? With a lot of early serial killers, it was family abuse. It was being gay but not being allowed to be gay. Like, those types of pressures force those people to kill.
And they all started with animals for most
Yeah.
part.
Wasn't Dahmer one of them?
Yeah, Dahmer was gay. John Wayne Gacy was gay, but said he hated homosexual, or hated fucking gay people. Like, and that's why he killed them all. But he almost exclusively only had sex with gay men because he liked it. He admitted he liked it. And he didn't know why he kept killing them. Dahmer kept killing them because he always wanted guys to stay with him, but they kept leaving. So he'd be like, if I fucking kill them, they can't leave. But, like...
Yeah, but didn't Dahmer also eat people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a little more twisted than
that. Was at the end
yeah.
of everything.
That's when they were finding stuff.
And
like
he had only, like, ate part of one person. Most of the time, he was dissolving them in acid to keep their skulls so they could never leave. Like, he would kill them, cuddle with them naked, and then throw them in a barrel of acid. But, like, if R.A. did this, and there probably is more... So what a lot of people don't understand is there are dozens, if not hundreds, of active serial killers in our country right now. And you'll never find out about it until after they're caught and all of these missing people. Because as soon as... They learned from back then, and you know about this, if you listen to Unsolved Murders or fucking anything like that, as soon as people start to find out, the killer gets smarter. Mm-hmm. So if the killer has a pattern and you keep it hidden, then you don't, you won't. The killer gets no hunch that you're onto him. But back then, when they started getting on Jeffrey Dahmer at first, he stopped. And he was like, hey, it's not me, because he found out, and it was all the news and all these missing people, he stopped. And then as soon as they stopped playing the news and he stopped getting that attention, he immediately... Same with Ted Bundy. When he was getting the attention, he stopped. BTK fucking only did it for attention. Like, he only killed for that attention. So, like... But if they would have just stopped giving him the attention, it would have stopped feeding his addiction because he would have had no reason to keep doing it.
One of the most notorious serial killers of all time they never caught. The Zodiac Killer.
The Zodiac Killer.
They had ideas of who it might be.
And every time they played all these news articles and wrote all these newspaper things and did everything the Zodiac did, he would disappear.
And what's funny is they have one piece of evidence that he sent them, because everything they sent him was encrypted.
Encrypted. And I think one was actually...
There was one of them that they never uncrypted.
Decoded.
And that was the one he said he put his name in. And
because they specifically hired, it was like a husband and wife team.
They hired a couple different people to come in and try to break it. And they couldn't break the codes.
But it was like a husband and wife team that fucking went through and decoded almost everything up until that point, and they couldn't decode the last one.
Because he used different symbols and stuff like that for it, and they couldn't match it to anything.
But he was another one that in this case where, like, every time they gave him media attention, he disappeared and he stopped killing people. And then as soon, the axe murders. That fucking killer was the same way.
You're talking Louisiana? Or Valissa?
Yeah, like, is it the Valissa where he's like, everyone needs to be playing jazz at this time or
I'm
gonna kill more people?
No, that's New Orleans.
Yeah, that same thing. And when they would give him the attention, he would stop killing because he knew they were on to him.
Thing is, there's weird things with that case.
That case is wild.
Because there was similar murders that took place in Louisiana, like 1910, 1911, and then they stopped. and then they picked up again around 1918. The questions I have about that case is, supposedly he only targeted Sicilian grocers. And they said how he got into their houses was he chiseled away openings and doors. Now, their houses weren't that big. At least not in that time period, anyway. How do you not hear someone banging on your door with a chisel?
When you think about it, electric heaters and stuff weren't big, so a lot of people had furnaces. And those are
Oh
pretty
yeah,
loud.
the roar of a fire furnace is fucking loud.
Yeah.
Like, even your coal furnace had the roar, but when you have, like, crackling... I get what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But my point is, would you... Like, most people don't understand is there are people being murdered, even now as we speak, that have been being, like... They're always one step ahead in the investigators. And you'll see missing persons reports, but you'll never see the details on the crimes if they're ever
I think
found
it's
until after the fact.
The FBI statistic says every year there's 50 to 100 serial killers that no one knows who they are.
And if you were to start airing all of that shit, you would never catch them. Because especially now in today's day and age, as soon as you started letting them know you were onto them, they would just be like, I'm done. Israel Keys was done until he fucking moved up to Alaska and thought he can get away with killing one person in a town of 15 people. Like, that wasn't the smartest choice.
The thing is, when you go up like Canada, Alaska...
But his exact words were, I got sloppy. Everyone I killed was so easy, she fought back and I got sloppy.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. But Canada is a good example of serial killers of people that... the hell is the name of that highway up there? Where all the indigenous women keep going missing.
Oh, I'm not a fucking clue.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
And here's another thing.
That's in BC, I think.
Here's another thing. Think about this. Speaking of technology, they couldn't even place RA's cell phone near a tower near where the girls were. Could he have left it behind? Maybe. I mean, Israel Keys used to go dark, and they couldn't fucking track him. He would shut everything off. You couldn't find him. No GPS, no nothing. He would kill a girl in Texas, but pull up from an ATM in New York. He was so hard to track. Hell, he almost killed people here in Pennsylvania at the Hamburg campground, where one of the places he buried a cache. That was how one of the why they got the description of Israel Keys, because the people at the campsite next to him were like, "We seen this guy bury an orange Home Depot bucket out here, and we're pretty sure he put a gun in it."
Yeah, every time we talk about that, too, it always reminds me of that weird dude we seen down in Burnsville that one night out in the bush, digging a hole.
What year was that?
That was probably 2008, 2009, maybe 2010.
That 100%, as fucking weird as it sounds, that could have been Israel Keys because he was only arrested in 2012.
Because I remember it was a...
And around that time, that lines up, which is fucking scary, because that lines up because around that time was around the time the people in Hamburg, Pennsylvania said they had seen him burying something there.
Because I remember we were on North Kill Road. We were on the dirt part of it. And we came up behind, it was a blue S10 with a cab over, or a...
Pap cap.
Yeah, on the back. And we thought it was weird because it was November and it was like 30 fucking degrees outside. And I remember it was you, it was me and Jake. And I know it was Jake, or I think it was Jake. Well, maybe they're just camping out here and
fucking 30 degrees in
and you're
November going. Lucas, you want to go camping like 30 degrees in November?
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's wait until January when it's snowing, windy.
yeah. But then we went around the turn and we seen that dude. That, I mean, he wasn't. I'd say he was a middle-aged guy out in the woods digging a hole, and he stopped and looked right at us. And later on, we came back to the area, and he was in his truck, and he followed us around for 45 minutes down there, remember? And then he finally turned off after he realized we weren't stopping anywhere. Because I never looked at you and said, like, this is really fucking shady, this guy keeps following us.
Like, we could have 100% been Israel Keys victims. But no, what do you... Honest opinions, like, after listening to the Defense Diaries thing, Do you think RA did it? Lucas?
I would say majority evidence is likely to lean towards probably not.
Josh?
Honestly, I'm in the same boat with Lucas. The evidence really just points to no. But if he did, and if they somehow they can come up with something that proved that he did, they need to look into missing persons.
Yeah.
Because
They need to
the way
figure out the
this
rest of his
described-
crimes.
Yeah, well, they have to look into other crimes that have the same MO, for one. But the problem is,
see, and that's the thing though. That's
But
why
not
I
all
asked
killers keep the same MO. That's
but
normally a thing, but
majority of them do though.
Do.
And if they do change MO, it's just a little bit. There's still going to be other things that match.
I was saying with the way that these girls were laid out, more than likely, there should be something matching for most other crimes.
The thing is, this guy, he has no affiliation himself to anything with the Oda Knights. So,
the state's response to that was none of it was true. Which I find weird that the state can respond that way and say none of that was true, but it was all recorded in evidence to be hinted at by other investigating officers.
yeah.
So you're just gonna...
But at the same
The
time,
state's just like, it's not true, believe us, we're the state. I
yeah.
don't fucking trust you for that exact reason, you're the state.
It came to them from a dream. It wasn't real.
Ronald Reagan said something one time. I can't remember what it was. It was something about the government. Because something about you know it's a lie if the government comes to you and says you can trust me or something like that. He said.
Yeah. I fucking remember that being.
I forget exactly how it was, but it was essentially what he said. Same thing in this situation.
Yeah, like.
Oh, you can trust me. I represent the government. That's what he said.
Yeah. And you never trust our government or the state.
Yeah.
They're the first people to give Lucas a medical card and then throw him in jail for having it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is wild. If you want to look into it, I would suggest heading. So, if you want to see it from
What you should do is actually, once everything's uploaded to YouTube, get the link for Spotify and put it in the description.
I can do that. I want to link. So I pulled a lot of. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I pulled a lot of my information from the Defense Diaries. Him and his wife are absolutely amazing at going through things with a fine-tooth comb. They don't miss anything.